You're listening to The Tales We Tell, a podcast about spooky stories, unsolved mysteries, and local lore. I'm your host, Hannah Parch.
And I'm Katy.
Welcome back! After our 17 minutes of pre-snacking.
It's been over a week since we've seen each other. There was a lot to catch up on.
I know, it's been a while.
My dad finally got to meet his grandson.
I know! Very
He's
exciting.
in love.
Good.
Which, obviously.
He brought down Beanie Babies.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were down last weekend and brought down my American Girl doll. Because they listened to the podcast, which I was shocked because they wrapped her up in as a present for me. And I had thought, because we did presents at the end of the night, and during the day when they first came down, I remember thinking, I was like, damn it, I should have asked them before they came down if they could go in the attic and look for Felicity. My mom is so sneaky, so she wrapped up Felicity. I also have all of the clothes that my grandmother made for her. She was previously wearing another outfit. I changed her into her original for you.
That way I would be sure to recognize her.
Yeah, so you could recognize her. So you wouldn't be like, who's that weird redheaded doll in another era outfit? So while I opened her up, and of course I immediately start changing her outfit and braiding her hair. And while I'm doing that, my mom just very casually, she was like, oh, I need to grab something from the car, and just gets up and walks out of the house. And then she comes back with this giant tote box from her attic of a bunch of all other childhood crap of mine, including all of my horses, because I was a horse girl. So if you peek into the guest room on your way out, they're all set up on my guest room dresser. Okay, you take your headphones off for a second.
You mean to where I can still hear you? Out
Yeah,
here
but
in the open?
not super, not super magnified. Okay, thank you.
Am I good now?
Yes, but you're gonna have to close your eyes in a second.
Okay.
All right, close your eyes. Nice.
Can I open it now?
Okay, fine. Hold on. Actually, I'm gonna give you a sound. Okay, now you can open
got
your
me
eyes.
some terrifying dildo.
This is so much louder than I thought.
I remember that horse.
We
I wanted one.
Put fresh batteries in this puppy.
Still works.
Not so much on carpet. But on my hardwoods, she's amazing.
What does Kelly think of this horse?
Weirdly doesn't care about her. Or at least she didn't when my parents' dog was here.
I bet Walker would enjoy watching it.
Listen,
he was watching the cat earlier today. It was adorable. He was just like,
ooh. He noticed finally that there's a cat that lives in the house.
Well, she was she deigned to be near him because we were gone all weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So she was like, I want to be near my people, and my people are near the baby, so here I am.
I guess if we leave this in, I should announce this is the Barbie walking horse. It took a while to get her battery compartment open, but we put fresh batteries in. And there's another one. My mom brought all of my horses back. Oh my goodness, my 2 boys!
They had a good time doing tummy time together.
Oh.
So all 4 of us, Connor, Bianca, Shelton, and I, are at different angles taking a bunch of photos as this is happening.
Oh my goodness.
Because, Shelton's over there, Connor's there, and Bianca's over here. So this is the view from our cabin.
Grief.
Not our cabin, the Airbnb.
I was about to be look at your happy boy.
He's so cute.
Learning to count there.
No, just making him reach for it. That's my dad.
Love it.
And this is at the winery.
Nice. Tommy, when he passes out, is just like a dead child.
He's out in there. You can see.
With his entire fist in his mouth.
Yeah, basically. Poor guy was he had a rough time Saturday night. Shelton has a bunch more great pictures. But yeah, he had a rough time Saturday night because he just got overtired.
Yeah.
You know, he only got like a few very short naps.
Mm-hmm.
And they all got interrupted.
Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Our cabin looks really good. There's walls up. The kitchen looks great. It's blue.
I saw your blue cabinet.
And we got free appliances
Ooh.
for now.
Why?
So, we ordered a fridge and a stove, and I think the dishwasher, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, hey, these need to be delivered. And they're like, cool, your scheduled delivery date is this date. Well, that date came and went, and they weren't delivered. And we're like, okay. So, and they're like, yeah, new date is this date. Date came and went, and they're like, yeah, no, we have no record of, you know, like, you weren't on the manifest to be delivered, so they didn't go out. And so, Friday, on the way up, we talk to a manager, and this is the third time that we've got things scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm just want to confirm with you, like, they will be delivered tomorrow. Like, because otherwise, like, if you can't make them appear tomorrow, then I just want a refund. Mm-hmm. And if I don't get said refund, no, actually, I don't think he threatened that yet. He just said, I want a refund. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can deliver them tomorrow, deliver them. If you cannot make them, if you cannot get them to my house tomorrow, refund me. Like, just do it now.
Right.
And he's like, nope, I'll make sure that it happens. Like, they're right here. They're at the warehouse. They just need to get on a truck to go out tomorrow. And he's like, great. I'll call back tomorrow morning at 7 before, you know, deliveries go out just to confirm and make sure and, like, see what the delivery time is.
Yeah.
So that we can try to be there for said delivery.
Right.
Call at 7. We're not on the manifest.
Of course you're not.
So Shelton spent several hours, like, several phone calls, several times that he called. Mm-hmm. He was, like, on hold with somebody or talking with someone, and then it just stopped and clicked over to a busy signal, like they hung up. And so he finally was like, forget it. Like, you're telling me, like, I was told yesterday that they would be delivered today. Right. And now you're telling me that there's no record of them being scheduled for delivery today. Right. Screw this, screw y'all. I mean, he didn't say that. Mm-hmm. He was like, just forget it. Refund my money today. I want a refund today. If it's not processed, I will report it as fraud.
Yeah.
And that lit a fire.
Uh-huh.
So we leave the house later that morning, go to Meadows of Dan, go to the little market. I go find a little yarn shop, get some gorgeous yarn.
Nice.
I spent way too much money on it, but okay. But it's all soft alpaca and some Peruvian wool and pretty colors. And then we went over to the winery. We had a delightful time.
Nice.
And then we went to our cabin. Mm-hmm. We looked around. Sure enough, what's waiting for us on our back porch?
Appliances.
Fridge, a stove, and a dishwasher.
Nice.
No hookups, though.
Wow.
Guess what was waiting for us in our bank account today?
Aha!
We got a full refund.
Nice.
So, we're going to give it a couple of days to make sure they don't realize their mistake and whatnot, but for right now, we've got free appliances.
Hey.
So,
let's hope they're not listeners of this podcast. You know what? Just to be safe. We're not... this is all pre-intro. Never mind.
Yeah. I don't even think I said the name of the company.
You're right. And we haven't said your name yet either, so... No one knows what we're talking about.
If you guys want to track down the murder cabin and go steal my appliances...
I mean, we do have a sticker of the murder cabin, which I designed, and obviously it's an exact replica.
My dad got to finally see the murder cabin. Nice. He was very impressed.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Nice. He was like, it's better than I was expecting. But apparently it's less murdery.
I still picture it to be very murdery, but...
well, you will see it in person one day.
One day. Hopefully, one day when the actual house is available for me to stay in.
Yes.
Because...
yes, you and Jarek will come up for the weekend.
I'm not staying in the murder cabin. But these were my surprises for you.
Dad brought me a couple of surprises, one of which is for you.
Oh, okay. When do I learn about it?
Soon.
Oh, God. Is it going to be a surprise?
I did just call it a surprise.
Oh, no. Is it going to scare me?
I don't know.
Okay, I hate this. Drink some more wine.
I mean, you don't have any reason for me to try to scare you or pull a prank on you or anything like that.
My back door's not locked either. Is your dad still in town?
It's storming and lightning. All that flashing light is rather ominous.
Oh my gosh.
No, my dad's in Tennessee now.
Okay. I was like, oh my god, your dad's gonna like show up with like a bag over his head.
No, but he did bring a whole bunch of Beanie Babies and some other stuffed animals.
Nice.
For the critter to play with. Very supervised play so he doesn't choke on the eyes and the nose.
Yeah, I noted in the text that she sent that her Bones Beanie Baby still had his eyes and nose, where mine still haven't figured out how to put his nose back on, but it's okay. Well, I have two announcements I have three announcements. Two are shout outs / thank yous, and then one is I guess also a shout out. Okay. Okay, I had two friends randomly who mentioned that they listened to the podcast, and I had no idea. So the first one is Reem, who was one of my best and only friends in high school. And she texted me last week, I think the Friday before last, out of nowhere, like have not talked to her in over 10 years probably. I had like 3 friends in high school, and she was one of them. And we like caught up, and she was like, oh my gosh, you have a podcast. And I'm listening to it, and I love it. And she was just like referencing things, and anyways. So, hi, Reem. Thank you. Again, I know I already said it, but thank you for listening. And oh my gosh, hi. Please move back to North Carolina. And the other one is Dylan, who was my first coworker ever at the Olive Garden. And he trained me to be a hostess, and he said happy birthday on my Facebook and said love the podcast. Thank you.
I've got a similar thing last weekend.
Great.
Some family friends from New Orleans who moved up to Virginia years and years and years ago were, they were, I guess, talking to my dad again, and they're like, Dad was like, I'm going to be in New Bern on, like this date or this week. And they'll be like, they were like, we can come down to New Bern. We're not very far, blah, blah, blah. We'd love to see you. So they came down to spend the day. And their daughter also still lives in Virginia, but I babysat her, and I use that term loosely. It was more of like I distracted her while her mom worked at home. Okay. So that she could get more work done. Nice. But I was telling her about the podcast, and she's like, Sam would love that. So, Samantha, if you're listening now, yay. Thanks for listening. Hopefully we'll see you in Virginia very soon.
Yay. And I don't want to not be shocked, but I still am shocked when friends or people, like I haven't talked to Dylan in probably however long it's been since I worked at the Olive Garden when 16 years. It's been 16 years since I worked there. But yeah, but we stayed Facebook friends. So anyways, thank you.
I was going to say that just also leads into the whole, a shout out from everyone to say happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I'm sorry, what are we?
Listeners, in case you're not aware, Hannah's birthday was last week.
32. So happy. 32 is twice as old as 16, everyone. Okay. Math. I learned that because I was trying to figure out how long ago I started working. And I was like, my first job was when I was 16, and I literally didn't even try to do simple math. I pulled out my calculator phone.
Oh, yeah, I have officially reached I have been working for over half of my life now.
Feels really good.
We'll take a drink on that one.
Yeah, we will. Okay. And our last shout out, I'm hoping I get this right because I didn't actually check with Jarek. He told me this once, and I was like, I'm going to write that down a day later. So, he plays D&D. He's in 2 campaigns right now. So one campaign is online, and it's with a bunch of people from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So one girl, her name is Anna, and I have no idea how it came up, but she told Jarek that her grandparents lived behind Catherine Knight. Do you remember Catherine Knight? Yeah, she killed like all of her husbands.
Okay.
And I think she
I'm
tried
still
to
thinking
eat.
of Belle.
You're thinking of Belle Gunness. This is the one that was less delightful. This one.
Yes.
She was like a walking red flag and somehow still got married like 3 times. And she killed all of them. Anyways, Anna's grandparents live near her. So, and from what I've heard of Anna's voice, she seems like a delightful person. So shout out to Anna if you're listening. Also, Jarek's really enjoying the campaign. So good on that. Okay. So I have a treat. And
Besides the actual
treats, in that I don't have a murder story today.
Yay, no dead children!
Okay, there's one dead child, but, like, it's very minimal, and I didn't realize it until, like, literally the very end, but we're not going to dwell on it. We're not going to dwell on this one. And this dead child's not super central to the story.
I thought you were about to say it's not super dead. Just mostly dead.
It's mostly dead. I have a ghost story for you today. Well, I have a haunted house story.
Okay. Oh, has anyone guessed my little Easter egg from all my creature features?
Not that they have told me. Not that they have posted about, so. I feel like we've heavily implied it, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll give it one more week and then I'll announce it.
I also realized that I posted the title of that episode inconsistent with the way that I have posted the rest of those, and that is because I posted it... sometimes Jarek edits these things on Monday, and they go out Monday night. They go live Tuesday morning on Patreon at like midnight. And so sometimes I go to bed while he is still editing, and I forget that when he's done, I have to actually schedule and post them. Mm-hmm. And that is what happened. And I jumped out of bed at like 11:30 and quickly, put what needed to be put on there, and forgot that the way that we do Tells We Tale are different. So sorry, and I also haven't changed it because this week has been a little weird. So we'll get to it. Okay, minimal death. A child dies, but like we don't dwell on it, and it's one of just like a bunch of regular deaths.
Great.
Okay. So today I'm going to tell you about the Whaley House. Do you know of it?
I do not.
Okay, great.
Is it a whaley of a tale?
Yes, it is. Okay. So Thomas Whaley, who's our main character here, was born October 5th, 1823, which I really told myself I was going to start the episode dollop style by screaming,
Year of our Lord!
October 5th, 1823! He was born in New York City, and he left New York in 1849 and traveled to San Francisco during the gold rush. In 1851, he moved to San Diego, so just another place in California. Also that same year, he witnessed the execution of a man named James Robinson, also known as Yankee Jim. What did Yankee Jim do, you ask?
He was from the North. That seems like a crime to some people in the South.
Well, he probably did something really bad, right? Because he was getting executed.
I feel like he was an African-American man that might have given a passing glance at a white woman.
That's a good guess. However, I think he was a white man.
Okay.
Attempted grand larceny, which means he tried to steal someone's boat.
Oh, so he actually did do something kind of bad. Well, attempted to.
He tried to, but he didn't actually get away with it. He didn't steal it, so
obviously, to the gallows for you, sir.
Yeah. I don't know why they...
The way you phrase it made me think it was...
Well, because...
Like, attempted grand larceny is still a crime.
It's a crime, but it's...
Whether you're successful or not.
Yeah, but
it's just more of a statement on you and your skills as a thief, not...
But it's even if it was successful larceny, it would not be a death crime.
No, that's true.
Think. Okay.
It shouldn't be.
So, for some reason, I don't know why in 1851 they had not figured out the best way to do this. So the way that they had the gallows set up...
Like, oh, you tried to steal a boat?
We're gonna try to hang you.
To hell with you. You're out of this world. Oh, you raped a woman? She was showing off her ankle. She probably asked.
Probably fine, yeah. So they had him stand on a wagon, and they put the noose around him, and so then the wagon was... Which, mind you, wagons are not very fast, so mind you, this isn't going to go the way that it was supposed to go anyways, but I feel like even if it went the way it was supposed to go, I don't feel like that's a quick enough drop that the neck would snap anyway. Like, how is this more effective than just a trapdoor or like a stool?
Because, I mean, you're right. Stool or chair or something would be just as effective.
Yeah.
Whereas a trapdoor, you actually have to have a gallows. A wagon, you can just pull up next to a tree and then hang the rope over a tree branch.
Yeah, but
it's like a mobile execution thing. And then, after the execution, you can go pick up your watermelons to deliver with the same wagon.
With the same wagon, yeah. Well,
budget cuts have been tough.
Yeah. So, this is what they did.
Having outsource executions.
Like with Swift Runner. Remember, they had to hire that guy. They had to hire someone to be the executioner, and then he forgot to bring the rope, and then they all had to wait around for a while. Remember that? Okay. So the local newspaper reported, quote, Jim kept his feet in the wagon as long as possible, but was finally pulled off. He swung back and forth like a pendulum until he strangled to death.
Ugh.
Yeah, so...
That's not how you want to be hanged.
Not good. Keep this fun little story in mind. So Thomas Whaley's just,
if anything, you want to, anticipate when the wagon's about to go.
You want to jump off of it.
You want to go with the snap. Get into gravity, get the snap, break the neck, then it's instant. You don't just...
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, my child's new favorite noise to make is radio static. He loves to just go...
Okay, well, that's cute. The way you were doing it. No, I was thinking he was, his favorite thing to do was to, make that sound when your back was turned and pretend he was, joking.
He just makes random baby noises, and his new one is...
That's very cute.
And so I'll just go back at him. I'm like, I feel like I'm hissing at my child.
Yeah, that is kind of what it sounds like.
It's weird, but he's smiling and laughing and having a ball.
There you go. That's all that matters.
Good for him. Not so good for Jim, though. Swinging like a pendulum.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot who you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to bring us back to the story.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 1851. In August of 1853, Thomas returns to New York to marry Anna Eloise Delaunay, and then in December they return to San Diego to start their family together. And here's a fun little fact. Did you know that to go from New York to California in the 1850s, you had a couple options. If you went by horse...
You couldn't fly first class?
You could not. If you went by horse or covered wagon, it would take anywhere from 4 to 6 months. So I'm like, okay, Thomas, I don't know if him and Anna knew each other previously, or if this was like a Belle Gunnis thing where he saw her ad in the paper. And
I feel like this is a society marriage or something like.
Let me show you a picture. They have stupid hairstyles, but they're both very attractive people, in my opinion.
Well, I'm thinking that he's a well-to-do enough person. Maybe he's the second son of a wealthy-ish family, so he's not going to inherit everything. So he can go off and try and find his own fortune. Yeah,
Look at her. Good grief.
Yeah. Very attractive.
I know.
So I'm thinking, like, he's gonna go out west to try and get his own fortune, like, try his own thing, but still had, like, society connections or whatever. I get the impression this was, like, a arranged marriage thing.
Yeah, maybe. But, like, worked out well for both of them because good grief. I mean, even with that dumb hair, look how long her fingers are. Just, I mean, I know. You know, I always say you have beautiful fingers.
You don't.
I'm just saying, she has, like, very striking features.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, she really does. I mean, her hair is not that stupid.
It's really
it's
not.
Just modest. It's just coiffed back.
And if she had, like, a messy bun, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, if she was rocking the mom hair,
she'd be very,
she'd be probably popular on TikTok, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure, I feel like he saw her.
And I would be totally fine being married to him, I think.
I know, right? And, like, he's
got a Rutherford B. Hayes look going on.
How do you know what Rutherford B. Hayes looks like? Look him up. Show me what he looks like.
I did a project on him in school, and also I saw a Tumblr post that showed pictures of old presidents when they were young.
Like hot presidents?
And, like, one of them, so they renamed him, so it's Baberham Lincoln. He's a total babe. And Rutherford B. Hayes.
Holy shit. Hot damn. Jeez.
He looks like Drew Brees.
He does! There you go. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. Man. Are we sure he's not Drew Brees?
I mean, Keanu Reeves is immortal.
That's true. You know who else I think is immortal? Sandra Bullock. I think her and Keanu are the same age. All right. Sorry, my fun fact here. So you can travel by horse or covered wagon. I like to think with someone like Anna, you're going to put her in a covered wagon.
Yeah, that's your 6 months, whereas he might be on a horse for 4 months.
Yeah, you get a covered wagon once you get to New York. Put Anna in a covered wagon.
So basically, he doesn't have, like, a wedding weekend. He has, like, a wedding year. He's got, like, almost 6 months getting to New York. Mm-hmm. And once he's there, I'm sure he's got to, like, settle and rest and recover. And then they probably have their wedding. Mm-hmm. And then their honeymoon is the next 6 months of getting across country, getting to know you.
Getting to know you.
Making the first little critter that you showed me.
Well, did you know that you could also go from New York to California by boat? There were 2 ways you could do that. One way only took 43 days. If you were to go through what is now the Panama Canal, which was at the time is a word I don't know how to say, the isthmus?
Isthmus?
Isthmus? ISTHMUS? Okay. Which was later turned into the Panama Canal. Or you could literally, the people did this, sail all the way around South America. Just casual 6.5 month journey.
Well, I mean, if it's going to take 6.5 months one way or the other, I'm still going covered wagon.
I'm going covered wagon too. Apparently a lot of people died of cholera on the boats.
Plus, you know, there's the whole scurvy thing.
Yeah. That was a big problem on the Oregon Trail.
Scenery not changing.
Well, I mean, if you think of it like a cruise, I don't know if you're stopping at different places. Although do you want to stop in like 1850 Brazil?
Probably not.
I mean, if you get malaria there, what are you going to do? Eat some more lemons.
I mean, you need the citrus for the vitamin C anyway to avoid said scurvy.
There you go. Okay, that was my fun fact. All right, so Thomas.
How did they travel back?
I think by covered wagon. I'm not sure. Not by boat. Actually, I don't know. I can't prove that they didn't go by boat. I just wanted to know how long it would take because I wanted to know how long these trips back and forth were taking.
Oh, it took him a solid year.
Yeah. So I just needed a little fun fact to put in there. And then I found out people used to take boats all the way around a whole nother continent to get across the state. So December, they get back to California. In the following year, 1954, because they've been having this 6-month-long honeymoon. 1854, thank you. They've been having a 6-month-long honeymoon, so they have their first child, obviously, the following year, whose name was Francis.
Oh, that was his middle name.
Oh, he was named after a business partner. They had like 2 kids named after business partners. And then in 1856, they had Thomas Jr. And then Thomas was like, ooh, listen, I think I figured out how babies are born. I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of this. Might have a lot of kids. I think we need a family home. So he starts construction. I'm sure that's exactly how it went in his head.
Mm-hmm.
He starts construction on a family home that he had designed.
It's like, wow, this really fun activity leads to children.
Better get a good space for him. So, this home he had designed was
some place to store all these kids.
Yeah. A 2-story Greek Revival style house, which he declared would be, quote, the handsomest, most comfortable and convenient place in town, or within 150 miles of here. Very confident. Construction started and
sounds like the folks who built the Titanic.
Really did. There is, by the way, I don't know if it's to scale, but it looks to scale model of the Titanic down at Franklin's Antique Mall. I really wanted to buy it, but the way things are priced there, I'm sure it was like $600. It would have gone in here, obviously. Okay, so construction was started in May of 1856. It was finished in 1857. It was built with bricks from the Whaley's own brickyard. It cost over $10,000. You want to guess?
I was about to say, conversion time.
Do you want to guess?
$4.2 million.
Not quite.
I have no idea.
$348,000. Which, like, I mean, you know.
If I had just said $400,000, because your eyes were like, oh, she's going to guess it.
Well, when it was finished, it was known as the finest home in all of San Diego.
But what about the handsomest and most convenient?
You know, I don't know about that one.
See? He levied a lot of claims there.
I do know it was built on the same site where Yankee Jim had been slowly strangled to death 6 years earlier.
Isn't that a death that Thomas himself had witnessed, you
He
said?
had, and he apparently was like, you know what? This is a nice open space.
I know that tree.
That wagon pulled right out of here, left no evidence.
Maybe we can use that wagon to carry some bricks in from the brickyard.
From the brickyard.
Build me a house.
So, yeah. So in 1958, Anna was born. He was correct in guessing how children were conceived.
Good for you, Thomas.
Yeah, good for him.
I'm sure sex ed was not a part of general education
Probably
at the time.
not. That same year, Thomas Jr., who was 18 months old, unfortunately died of scarlet fever in the new home. Also, they had a general store that Thomas had established when he had first moved to California, and that was burned down due to arson. And so Thomas was like, hey, let's leave here for a little bit because it kind of sucks. So he took Anna and he took his kids and he moved them to San Francisco for a little bit. And then while they were there, they had George, Violet, and Corinne.
They were busy.
Yeah, all 2 years apart. They waited the, recommended, 6 months? 6 weeks? I don't know what they tell you to wait.
I mean, it depends on what your situation is.
I imagine
if you
every birth was traumatic in the 18th.
If you had any tearing or anything like that.
I imagine yes, for all of that. I don't know. So the Whaley House was large and grand, and it did quickly become a popular gathering place in San Diego. In 1968, an upstairs bedroom was converted into a theater, which was actually the first public theater in San Diego, when it was rented out to the Tanner Troupe, and a stage was put in.
A bedroom was big enough to turn into a theater.
Yeah.
I'm still envisioning a small theater, not, the Sanger or some opera house or something, but...
I mean, technically the room we're in now is a bedroom because it has a closet. And because this is technically a 3-bedroom house, although our 3rd bedroom does not have a closet. The Whaleys, just a bigger bed. Just imagine a bigger bedroom.
I'm envisioning a bedroom about the size of your house.
Probably. So they put in a stage and a couple benches, and on opening night, they had 150 guests crammed into the space at standing room only. The women were even encouraged to not wear their hoop skirts that night to make more room. Although I would have worn my hoop skirt because I would have been like, I need
a breathing room.
Yeah, space. I assume the opening night went well, although 17 days later, Thomas Tanner, the owner of the troupe, died. Don't know what of. Coincidence?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
I mean, disease? Likely.
Likely. Am I telling it as part of a haunted house story? Yes. And then the troupe disbanded the following year because their owner died.
Makes them sound like slaves.
I know.
Their owner.
Yeah, that does. I don't know. The owner of the troupe. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, no, everyone understands what you're saying. It just sounds funny. Also, it sticks out to me because when I was 16, after Katrina kicked me out of New Orleans, I went to Tennessee and I lived with my dad's cousin. It says his first cousin, so my second cousin, I guess. Or my first cousin once removed. I can't remember which way it is. I don't know how that works. But either way, she wasn't my aunt. But when I was like, I need to ask my cousin permission, you automatically assume someone kind of like your age. Yeah. So I would just say my owner.
That's weird.
I'm like, well, she houses me, she feeds me, she gets me from A to B.
There you go.
My owners.
Well, when I said Tanner troupe, I immediately thought of
Danny
Tanner and his
troupe of children.
Yeah. Which, like...
He only has 3.
But he also has Jesse and,
Danny. Not Danny. Joey.
See, I knew I was like, why can't I think of the other one's name?
I've had a long weekend.
Me too.
Critter had the sniffles this weekend.
Oh, poor baby.
And he had a really rough Saturday night. Therefore, I had a really rough Saturday night.
I did get to go see Tolly on Thursday. I texted Connor to get him up to speed with stuff. And he had some peppers for Jarek for whatever reason. I'm not surprised anymore by these things. And so he said, come over, bring Jarek. And I was like, you know what? I know that baby's going to be there, so I am going to go over. And then on the way over, Jarek was like, oh, we should have picked up beer. I was like, Connor has plenty of beer in his house. I was like, he literally has 4 tables sitting outside that have kegs underneath them. And we got there.
There's only 3. And then there's the full kegerator.
Yeah, that's true.
It's different.
Well, whatever. I hadn't eaten all day, and they immediately handed me the baby, and I was like,
As long as they didn't hand you the baby and a beer.
They did do that, but it was fine. There was lots of supervision. I got to feed him, and then when I tried to burp him.
Oh, projectile everywhere, huh?
Well, here's the thing. Not the only, but like the way I was taught to burp a baby, instead of over the shoulder so they don't like vomit down your back, is to like hold them on your knee and like, you know, last time I did that was perfect because he like puked all over the floor. And I literally tried to do that, and Tolly, I guess, is just in the phase where he was just like planking so hard.
Walker does that sometimes, and so he loves to stand. So instead of being able to like sit him on his side and burp him, and he just goes straight leg, I'm like, fine, if you want to be, you know, straight and standing up, I let him stand and I lean him forward so he's like straight and leaning with his chest on my hand, and I've got giant hands, so my hand encompasses his entire chest, and I'm like,
you have beautiful long fingers. Remember how I tell you that all the time?
Piano hands. But yeah, so I guess he just Walker fights burping. Sounds like Tolliver does too.
Yeah, it was great. Anyways, all that to say, babies are wonderful. What were we talking about? The Tanner troupe, the owner of the Tanners dying.
He died.
Okay.
17 days after opening night.
Yes. In 1869, so the following year, the county of San Diego rented 4 rooms at the Whaley House, one of which, okay, I didn't do further research to
Are they back in their
out.
Greek-style handsome home, or are they still...
Yes.
They're in San Diego now, right? Or did they go back to San Francisco?
So, at this point, they have moved back to San Diego.
Okay.
I actually...
Wait, Was San Diego and then San Francisco and then back to San Diego?
Yeah, so the Whaley House is in San Diego.
Sorry, guys. I got confused.
There's a lot of sands. I actually think that when they moved to San Francisco to, like, get away from all the bad juju.
Mm-hmm. The arson.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure an earthquake forced them to move back to San Diego. So the county of San Diego rents 4 rooms, one of which was a courtroom. I don't know why there was a courtroom or if it was put in specifically for the county. I don't know. No one explained that to me ever.
It makes me think of, like, Pemberley. So Mr. Darcy's house.
Okay.
And those old, like, huge Downton Abbey. Like, those big, huge manors that have just all of these rooms.
Yeah.
And were sometimes, like, they were private houses, but they were also sometimes, like, public places for county affairs and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of like that. I don't know if when Thomas had it built, if he had, like, a courthouse originally built into it, or if it was...
I don't think they had a theater originally built into it, because it was a bedroom that they then added the stage to.
That's true. Well,
you can always add.
You can always add stuff. That's true. A room is just a bedroom until you put a stage...
A jury box into it.
So the courtroom is still there. The county rented these rooms for $65 a month. Do you want to take a guess on the conversion rate there?
$225.
$1,416.
I was way over and then I was way under.
19 cents. It's okay.
Well, 10,000 to 400,000. I mean, it is a big jump. Sure.
Yeah. And then 65 to 1,400. I don't know. My brain doesn't do maths. I literally had to use a calculator to figure out 36 minus 16 is still 16. And you know the sad part is
good thing you're pretty.
Thank you. As I did 32 divided by 32 minus 16, and I hit enter.
And I saw 16, you're like, no, that's not.
It was like, tell me the equals.
And then it went to 0. And you're like, what? And then minus 16. Calculator.
I do want to just point out, I have recently gone blonde. And
seeping into your roots.
It might be. I also am spending a lot of brain power trying to figure out how to not get my hair, like how to keep my hair from breaking, because I have now I feel like it's so fragile now. So maybe that's why. That's a good theory, actually. Maybe that's why blondes, people think they're dumb. It's because they spend so much time trying to figure out how to keep their hair from breaking off. Because if I do nothing, my hair breaks off.
What's a natural blonde's excuse?
I don't know.
I mean, mine was ADHD.
That's...
I'm not an airhead. I'm just paying attention to a lot of different things at once, my friend. Can't keep all those things juggling in the air.
Were you the one who posted something about how attention deficit is like a misnomer? Because
I've talked about it, I think. Because it is a misnomer. I don't have a deficit of attention. I am not lacking attention. I have an overabundance of attention. But I don't think I posted or shared anything about it because I don't really do that. But yeah, quick segue here. It's more of an executive function disorder that, like, I can't make myself do simple tasks sometimes because they seem insurmountable and there's lots of, like, tricks to get away with it. But, like, that's why during, like, Zoom meetings or even in-person meetings, I've talked to our meeting moderators. I'm like, yo, Heather, I promise you I am here, I am present, I am paying attention to this meeting, but if you see me, like, playing on my phone, I'm just playing solitaire. Like, it's mindless, it's just something to do with my hands, or I'll sometimes knit during meetings. Sometimes on, like, my staff calls during Zoom, I'll paint my nails or file them or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm 100% paying attention. And she's like, no, I totally understand. Like, I wouldn't say anything because I do still engage. I'll be like this, and I'll just be knitting, looking down. And I'll just stop and look up and contribute to the meeting. I'll ask a question, answer something.
I wish that was... I remember in college when I figured out... I think it was like the biology class or something. It was one of those classes I had to take like my senior year that was like biology 1 or something. I needed it just to graduate. And I'm obviously not good at the math stuff. And so it was a hard class for me, but just because my brain doesn't... I was an art history major, so like my brain didn't... and so sitting and taking notes was just hard for me. And I remember when I figured out, I started making those little like friendship bracelets like with embroidery thread. And I remember the day that I brought it to class and I worked on it during class. And I like just kind of sat in the back so I wasn't like super noticeable. And I retained so much information that day. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, they really normalize it. Everyone, normalize doing stuff with your hands so that your brain can pay attention.
That's the purpose of those fidget toys. And it only works for people who are considered neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Versus neurotypical. So, like, for me, my best studying method, if I need to, like, read a book or notes or something, is I put on a movie or a TV show that I've seen dozens of times. So, like, Lord of the Rings was one of my go-to study movies. And that's because I could be reading and then I would hear, I'm like, oh, this is a really good scene. And I'd look up and I'd watch. And it was easier to go back to what I was doing. So I knew that I was going to get distracted by something.
Yeah.
And by putting on a loud movie with a lot of noise and action, I was picking, this is the thing that's going to distract me. And because I'm so familiar with this, I'll be able to pull my attention away from this distraction, get back to the task at hand.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Good stuff.
It's tough being ADHD. It's tough being a neurodivergent in a neurotypical world.
Well, I hope everyone took a drink. I'm sure we have a thing
sorry
for
about that segue.
A segue. Oh, yeah. Sorry. This part's pretty bad.
There's no child murder, so I'm okay.
Yeah, sure. No, there's no child murder. I'm just saying that doesn't...
Like, you promised me only one child death, and we went there, we covered it, we're good, we're done with the child death.
I'm just going to argue that this... I'm just... Okay. We're going to jump ahead a little bit to 1882. January of 1882. Violet marries... So she's old. She's 20 now. She's not old. She's 20.
Old maid.
I was going to say she's old enough.
She should have been married when she was 13.
She is old enough. She marries a man named George Bertolacci. And shortly after their marriage, George reveals to Violet some kind of scandalous past that he has. We don't know what it is. Could be anything. Maybe he had a second family. Who knows? He vowed to make it up to her. Vowed to be like, promised to be like the best husband he could be. Despite this, Violet moved back in with her parents, and George and Anna cut off all contact with Thomas and Anna. I got my names confused. Thomas and Anna cut off all contact with George, and Violet moves back in with them. And then Violet becomes severely depressed because of this. And
because she is just depressed that she's married to this guy that she doesn't want to be with, or she's depressed because she wants to give it a chance?
I think she's depressed because she feels like the person she got married to was lying to her or something. And so on August 19th of 1885, so this is 3 years later, Violet committed suicide with her father's .32 caliber rifle. She left a note, and this is a passage from a poem by Thomas Hood.
This is why you wanted to argue with me about child murder. Because it was a death of a child, but she was an adult at the time.
Yeah.
She was a child of the people of our story.
Also, this is just like this saddest suicide note. So the note said, "Mad from life's history, swift to death's mystery, glad to be hurled anywhere out of this world." And
hella emo.
I know. So when I read it, they like said she left this note, and then like after that they said it was part of a poem. So I read that and I was like, oh my god, that's like the most deep and like profoundly heartbreaking like note. And then they're like, it was a passage from a poem. I was like, should have led with that. I was giving Violet a lot of credit for a second. So she shot herself in the heart, and she did it in the outhouse, but Thomas found her before she died.
Yeah, don't go for the heart, because if you don't get it in the right spot, even if you get it in the right spot, it might take you several minutes.
Yeah. It took her, I think, about 15 minutes. And he, like some kind of Haunting of Hill House shit, brought her back into the house so that she died in the house.
Didn't want to let her die in the shitter.
Well, I know. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, bring her out of the outhouse. But, like, weird to be like, no, she must die in the house.
Hey, we haven't made an American Horror Story reference in a long time, and that is a glaring one right there.
Yeah.
Murder House.
Murder House. My brain jumped to Hill House instead of Murder House. Arguably the same thing. So after Violet's death, Thomas was like, F this shit again, and built a smaller house in downtown San Diego, and was like, we're all moving to there because this bigger house is bad luck or something. So he moves the family there, and in 1890, Thomas dies of old age.
I was about to say, he's got a 20-year-old daughter.
Yeah, he's elderly now.
He's been back and forth across the country several times.
God bless. So in 1909, George, his son, began restoring the old family home. And in what I'm going to say is possibly not in the best taste, George turns it into a tourist attraction where he plays his guitar for visitors. To which I would say, George, your sister literally died in that house like 10 years ago. Can you not do this? In the early 1900s, the family began renting the house out to tenants. And eventually, Anna, Frances, and Corinne all moved back into the home with George. And all of them remained there until their deaths. Anna died in 1913.
So none of them got married and had families of their own?
Apparently not.
I guess they all learned from Violet.
Oh, wait. One of those...
Thomas Jr. died. Never mind.
Sorry. Thomas Jr. died. Hold on. Let me look at the kids again. Anna Jr. Anna Jr. I think got married around the same time as Violet. Mm-hmm. I didn't put that in there because I felt like Violet's thing kind of overshadowed it.
Yeah, a little bit.
And Anna's wasn't like sad. And so the Anna that moves back into the house is Anna, the mom.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as it seems as though the other ones did not have families of their own.
They saw what Violet went through and were like,
they're like, yeah, this doesn't
can't trust anyone.
So Anna passed away in 1913, followed in 1914 by Frances, and then Corinne died in George died in 1928, and then Corinne stayed in the house until 1953 when she passed away. And then shortly after that, in 1960, the Whaley House was officially opened as a museum. So, that brings us to the hauntings. Woohoo! Yay! What we're all here for. So, even when the Whaley family was living there, there were reports from them of disembodied sounds. The family heard, quote, heavy footsteps in the house. And Thomas and Corinne both became convinced that they were the footsteps of...
Violet and Thomas Jr. or the troop owner.
Yankee Jim. You're wrong on all of this.
That's a lot to choose from.
There was a lot to choose from. They were heavy footfalls. They were like, I don't know.
Maybe Violet was stomping around, mad about her being betrayed by her husband. Also, I just want to point out that house sounds freaking huge.
It does.
It's probably just squatters living there.
I thought you were going to be like, it's probably just settling.
They'll never find us.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, so visitors report feeling, quote, profound sadness in Violet's room, obviously. Which may just be
if you've heard her story,
Yeah.
then yeah, it would be very sad.
Also, I just want to point out that, like, 20 minutes ago, you said you were done with the cheese, and you continued to eat the cheese.
I love cheese.
I know you do.
I have been off dairy for 2 months.
And then I put a whole plate of dairy in front of you. I'm sorry. One visitor to the museum reported seeing a woman apparition in the courthouse. This is how she described her. Quote, a swarthy complexion. She's wearing a long, full skirt, reaching to the floor. The skirt appears to be calico or gingham, small print. She has kind of a cap on her head, dark hair and eyes, and is wearing gold hoops in her pierced ears. She seems to stay in this room. I don't know who it is, because it's not Anna.
How common were pierced ears back then?
I don't know. How common were gold hoops? You know what they say. Bigger the hoop.
The closer to God.
That's hair. The bigger the hoop, the bigger the hoe. Well, people have said this doesn't sound like one of the Whaleys, so...
I think she was just high.
Yeah, I know. Who is this person? Describing this apparition in, like, present tense. People have said that they have seen the spirit of Anna in the downstairs rooms or in the garden. Apparently she appeared to Regis Philbin when he was there. This is a quote from Regis. Please hear it in his voice.
Oh, God.
Is he still alive?
I was just wondering that.
I feel like he passed away.
Yeah, he died in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
More recently than I thought.
Almost exactly 2 years ago. It was July 24th.
Wow. R.I.P. Now he's with Anna.
Laughing about that time she showed up as a ghost.
All right. I'm ready to hear this in his voice.
All right.
Okay. All of a sudden, I noticed something on the wall. There was something filmy white. It looked like an apparition of some kind. I got so excited I couldn't restrain myself. I flipped on the light and nothing was there but a portrait of Anna Whaley, the long-dead mistress of the house. That was it. And I like to think that that was on an episode of, like, Celebrity Ghost Encounters or whatever that show is. Thomas, of course, has been seen by visitors. One of the former curators of the museum, June Reading, reported that a young visitor, about 5 or 6, was waving to a man in the parlor that no one else could see. Which I would argue does not necessarily mean that that's Thomas. It just means that that kid saw something that no one else could see.
I thought Thomas was a child when he died.
I think they mean Thomas, like older Thomas.
Thomas Sr.?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think he just comes back to hang out. Adults have also reported seeing the apparition of a man on the upper landing in, quote, a frock coat and pantaloons. Which I don't know what pantaloons are.
Fancy pants.
I also don't know what a frock coat is.
Fancy coat.
Fancy coat. Others have reported smelling tobacco smoke, which they attribute to Thomas. Could be also squatters.
Mm-hmm.
Psychic Sybil Leek visited the house in the 1960s and reportedly encountered the spirit of a young girl in the dining room. She described her as a long-haired girl in a long dress who came into the room quickly and sat down at the table. Legend says that this was the playmate of one of the Whaley children, and she was named either Annabelle or Carrie Washburn. And that, I'm laughing because this is not true, I promise. And that she broke her neck on a low-hanging clothesline in the backyard. But there's literally no historical evidence that this is the thing. And they think someone just made it up as, like, part of it. My question would be, low-hanging clothesline, how low for a child? What are you hanging on that? Your socks?
Must be. Because everything else would be dragging on the ground.
You're tripping over that. If a child is breaking their neck on that, you're going to trip. An adult will trip over it. I'm just saying. That's not even good. She could have come up with something else. She could have fallen in a well. Fallen down the steps.
There you go.
Anyways. Oh, this is the best part. A parapsychologist visiting the house reported seeing the apparition of a spotted fox terrier running down the hall into the dining room, and his little ears were flapping as he ran.
Well, that's adorable.
I have a picture of what it probably looked like.
Is there any mention of the Whaleys having a dog?
Yes, they had a terrier dog named Dolly Varden. And obviously, she had many names, or she had 2 names. That's probably what the dog looked like, the ghost dog.
Cute.
With the ears flapping. I googled
Fox
terrier running and looked for ones with flapping ears. So the Whaley House was featured on Ghost Hunters, season 12, episode 13, but I could not find a free way to watch that, so I didn't watch it. But it was also on the show Fact or Faked, Paranormal Files, and also BuzzFeed Unsolved, both of which I could find for free. So I watched those. Fact or Faked, a little disappointing. They basically took ghost pictures that visitors had taken at the Whaley House. And they were like, the first one was like very obviously like a light anomaly that they just like recreated. The one that they weren't able to recreate, allegedly it showed an apparition of Thomas Whaley in the window. Like someone took a picture of like a window and they're like, oh my gosh, in the reflection you can I had a really hard time seeing it, and then they couldn't recreate it, but I couldn't find a picture, and then ultimately I was like, you know what, it's not worth showing everyone because to me there was nothing there.
Even if you're desperately looking for something to be there, you can't find it.
I don't know, maybe I need to go back and rewatch it, but I didn't see anything. On BuzzFeed Unsolved, I don't know if you've seen any of those. So it's these 2 guys, Ryan and Shane. I don't know, they're like more of like a lighthearted, it's kind of like a comedy thing. So they're not like laughing at it, but they're not taking it super seriously. And one of them, I think Ryan is like actually kind of believes in the paranormal, and Shane is like pretty skeptical. So they go into it, and Shane's got like
balance.
Yeah,
kind of
balance.
like us.
Yeah. So they kind of tell you the story, and then they go investigate the house at night. Apparently, in the courthouse or courtroom, in the back corner, people say that there is a portal. And so, of course, they sit in the back corner. Ryan sits in the back corner, and they're talking about it. He says he suddenly starts to feel dizzy and starts to get like a shiver up his spine. And he's like, I know that you don't believe me. And he said, I know that on ghost shows people say these things and you think they're completely stupid, and I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel weird right now. And also at the same time, Shane's flashlight goes out. So I don't know if that's anything. And then at the very end, they both decide that they're going to sit in the parlor alone for 5 minutes. So the parlor is where Anna has been seen, and it's also where Violet, Violet died. So Shane sits in there for his 5 minutes. He's the skeptical one. Nothing happens. He says it actually felt kind of like meditation, and it was nice, probably just because it was a quiet room.
Yeah.
And then Ryan goes in, and he's like very nervous, and he's like kind of talking, like nervous talking. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna shut up. And then he like jumps up suddenly. He thinks that Shane is messing with him. And he says he heard someone whisper in his ear. And he said, I swear I thought you were messing with me. I thought you had come in somehow and you were like, whatever. He didn't know how to explain it. You can kind of hear something on the audio. It's not super clear. You can't hear like specific words. Mm-hmm. He seems very...
You can hear a...
Yeah. You can hear like Critter going... going... But he seems very, very convinced that something whispered in his ear. So my conclusion for the Whaley House is that a lot of death happened there. And so it's probably at least a little bit haunted. It is also open to the public, and you can take daytime and nighttime tours. Daytime tours are $14 for adults, $10 for kids. Nighttime tours are $18 for adults and kids. And after hours investigations are $99, and they are PG-13.
Oh my.
I know. So probably don't bring your child.
I want to do that.
I know, I do too. And you can learn more at whaleyhousesandiego.com.
Well, all right then.
So it wasn't too bad. There was only a little bit of child death.
There was no murder. Well,
I mean,
there was an execution.
There was
a suicide, an execution.
Yeah. A scarlet fever.
And 2 illnesses. Well, one definite illness, one
probable illness.
Well, also, the theater owner die in the house, or did he just die?
No, I think he just died, and they were just like, coincidence?
Really?
And they weren't like, they were like, wow, he was woefully unhealthy on opening night. He had like...
There was 150 people packed into a small room.
Yeah.
In a time where sanitation wasn't a thing.
And 5 of them had tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's gross. Do you want to tell everyone our socials?
Yeah, you can find pictures and other good stuff on our Instagram and Facebook at The Tales We Tell Podcast. If you want to see photos of episode content and Kelly content, doggos, you can, but you don't do the social media, you can go to our website, thetaleswetellpodcast.com. And that's also how you can get in touch with us, too.
Yes.
And if you want to support us, get yourself some sweet, sweet swag, you can go to redbubble.com, search The Tales We Tell, or you can support us without getting stuff, and physical stuff at least. You can become a patron at patreon.com. You get episode access early. You get love notes and stickers from us, and sometimes some extra bonus content and goodies. So.
Yeah. Also, if you know me or Katy personally and you listen, let us know. It will make our entire days.
Yes.
Literally. Especially if we were, like, best friends in high school. Shout out Reem. Yeah. And also, if you're Reem's husband and you're listening to this, she is correct. You should move to North Carolina. It's a great place to live sometimes.
I like it here.
The summers are real rough.
I'm from New Orleans, and it's only slightly bad here.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's only slightly, I mean, it's less bad than New Orleans.
I'm having an all-out war with the water bugs in my kitchen. And I paid Terminix $100 to come spray my...
Also, it's been raining every day.
I know. But I'm really mad because I paid Terminix a lot of money to come spray my house.
It was 68 in the mountains this morning.
Shut up. I'm pretty sure all I had to do was buy the little roach motels because I bought a bunch and I, like, put all of them around my oven. Like, I put, like, a bunch underneath my oven. I put a bunch in my like, everywhere. Haven't seen them since. So, if you're listening, Terminix... I don't know.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. But we will sponsor you if you want. So, yeah. So we'll be back next week and we'll see you guys then. Bye.